I had this dinner last week. Someone I've known since university, like 12 years. And I came home and just sat on the sofa without turning anything on.
How long?
Like 20 minutes, just sitting there in the dark.
Yeah, I know that one.
And the thing is, nothing bad happened. She's a genuinely nice person. We talked for 2 hours, and I could not tell you one thing we actually said. And I kept thinking on the way home, are we friends? Like, actually? Or are we just two people who used to be friends and now we have dinner sometimes to prove it?
Yeah. I mean, for anyone listening, by the way, welcome to Everyday English Talk. I'm David.
I'm Sarah. We're apparently talking about friendship today.
Because of the dinner.
Because of the dinner. Okay, so push back on me. I can see you want to.
I just think one boring dinner doesn't mean the friendship isn't real. That's all.
Why not?
Because some of my best conversations with people I genuinely care about are completely surface level, like boring on paper, but the person is still real.
Okay, but there's a difference between boring and empty. This wasn't small talk. It was just nothing. I came home and sat in the dark and thought, she doesn't know me, not really, not the current version.
What does that actually look like, though? She doesn't know you.
Like at dinner, she asked how work was going. I said, fine, busy. She said, yeah, same, and we moved on. But work has been genuinely terrible lately, and I didn't tell her. Not because I was hiding it, just because she's not the right container for it. Some people you pour that into, some people you just don't.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Okay, so when I first moved to this city, I was 26, and I had this idea that I was going to build a real life here. Real friends, a proper social circle. So I said yes to everything. And I mean everything. Every after-work drinks, even when I was exhausted. Every Sunday brunch with people I barely knew. There was one night, I remember this specifically. I was in this very loud bar and I was laughing at something I hadn't actually heard properly, and I was checking my phone under the table.
Oh, no.
And I was negotiating with myself, like, okay, if I can just hold on until 9:45, I can say I have an early morning tomorrow and leave without it being rude.
And what time was it?
8:30.
An hour and 15 minutes of internal bargaining in a room full of people you chose to be with?
And I'd come home after those nights and think, who do I actually want to tell about my week? And there was nobody, not one person in that whole calendar. And that loneliness is worse than just being alone, because you've done all the work and still ended up empty.
I had this colleague once. Well, she became more than a colleague for a while. We sat near each other, and we had the same terrible manager, and we'd spend half the day sending each other eye rolls over email, memes about bad bosses, that kind of thing.
The shared enemy.
And it felt so real, like we were finishing each other's sentences. I genuinely thought, okay, this person gets me.
Let me guess, one of you left.
She left, and we got coffee about a month later, and we sat there and just had absolutely nothing, because the whole thing had been built around hating the same person. Take the enemy away, and there's nothing underneath.
A lot of so-called friendships are like that. They're not friendships, they're alliances, and alliances expire.
Yeah. So, okay, serious question.
Go on.
You know when you fill in forms, medical forms or whatever, and they ask for an emergency contact, and you can't put a family member or a partner, just a friend? Who goes in that box?
Oh, God.
And take your time, because I think a lot of people, when they actually stop and think about it, the list goes from 20 people to maybe 2.
It went to 2 for me very fast.
Right, and here's where I'm going to disagree with you, though.
Okay.
I think the other 18 still matter.
Really?
Last year, I went through a genuinely terrible few months at work. Like, I was not okay. And you know what I absolutely did not want?
Talk to the 2 people?
Talk to anyone who actually cared about me. Because caring means that look, you know the look, said very slowly, how were you holding up?
The worried eyes.
Ugh, I could not handle the worried eyes. I didn't have the energy to be someone's concern. So I called Matt.
Who's Matt?
A guy I play tennis with. We know each other's first names, and we both hate the same referee at our club. That is literally the full extent of our relationship.
And you called him?
We went to a pub and spent 2 hours absolutely destroying the reputation of this referee. Every bad call he'd ever made. And it was exactly what I needed, because Matt wasn't monitoring me. He wasn't checking how I was doing. He was just there, annoyed about the same thing.
So he was a break from being yourself.
A break from being the person who was having a hard time. And sometimes that is genuinely what you need.
I actually hear that, but I think the Matt option only works because you also have the emergency contact people. If Matt was all you had, 2 hours about a referee isn't going to be enough.
Yeah, that's fair. Although I think you can also have too much of the other kind.
What do you mean?
Like some friendships get very intense. Every conversation has to mean something. Every catch-up becomes a whole emotional event. And then you start avoiding them.
Not because you don't care.
Just because you don't have the bandwidth for it on a random Tuesday evening.
I've had that, where it starts to feel like therapy you didn't actually book, and you're genuinely happy to see them, but also somehow exhausted before you even get there.
And then you cancel once and feel bad, and then you cancel again, and then it's just easier not to try.
That's a different kind of losing someone.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so making new actual friends as an adult. Have you tried recently? Because it is genuinely one of the most uncomfortable things I've ever attempted.
Oh, it's terrible.
Because you meet someone and you like them, and then what? You can't just say, hey, I find you interesting as a human being. Please don't find that weird.
I actually said something like that once.
You did not.
There was this guy at a thing I went to. We talked for about an hour, and at the end I just said, look, I think we should actually hang out, and I gave him my number.
What did he do?
He stood completely still for a second, and I thought, oh no, I have completely misread this entire evening.
And?
He said, yeah. 3 weeks later we got a beer, and it was great.
How sweaty were your hands when you said it?
Absolutely drenched.
Because it is exactly like asking someone on a date. That exact same vulnerability, except somehow weirder because there's no script. At least with a date, everyone knows what's happening.
With a potential friend, it's just, I like you as a human. Please don't make this strange.
And then you wait. And usually nothing happens.
Usually nothing happens.
Usually you follow each other on Instagram and that's the whole story.
That's the whole story. And where are you actually supposed to meet people? Seriously, as an adult?
Not at work, apparently.
Not at work. Classes, maybe?
I tried pottery.
Really?
3 sessions. The clay kept collapsing, and I was so focused on not looking like a complete idiot that I barely spoke to anyone.
Did you meet anyone at all?
There was one woman, very nice. We said we should get coffee.
And?
I was still follow each other on Instagram.
Of course you do.
So I don't know where you're supposed to go. Running clubs, book groups, it all has the same energy. You're all just adults in a room trying very hard to seem like the kind of person who has their life together.
Whereas what you actually want is someone who already knows you don't.
Exactly. What about people you've already known for years, like the ones who are technically still there, but something just quietly changed?
Oh, yeah. There's this guy I've known since I was about 23. We used to do Friday nights together. Every Friday, same pub, same corner table. That was just our thing for years.
That's nice, actually.
And then his kid was born, and we still tried to keep meeting. I went to his place last year, and his living room was completely covered in plastic toys, like every surface, every corner. And we spoke in this low, careful voice the whole time because the baby was asleep in the next room. And I looked around that room and thought, the Friday nights are just gone. Nobody did anything wrong, but something is over, and we're both sitting here pretending it isn't.
I have this message. It's been sitting on my phone for about 8 months now. We should catch up soon! ! From someone I used to be really close with.
And you haven't replied.
Every time I look at it, I feel like I'm looking at a 50-kilogram box that someone's left in the middle of my hallway. I just don't have the energy to deal with it today. So I put my phone down and I do the same thing tomorrow. And then one day, 6 months have gone by, and now replying would itself require an explanation, and I don't have the energy for that either.
So it just stays there.
It just stays there. And the worst part is, I actually miss her. Like the version of her from a few years ago, but I have no idea how to say that without it sounding like an accusation.
Yeah.
Until you're just two people who once knew each other well and now occasionally like each other's photos.
That's a very specific kind of sad.
Yeah. So the people who don't do that, the ones who actually stay, what's different about them?
What do you think?
I had a really bad period a couple of years ago, and I told one friend kind of everything, just laid it all out. The next time I saw her, she used this voice, this very careful, slow voice, like she was handling something fragile. And she stopped complaining about her own life in front of me. Like she'd decided I was the fragile one now, and she needed to manage around me.
Oh, that's a specific kind of awful.
Because suddenly the friendship wasn't equal anymore. I was her patient, and it died really quietly after that. Just slowly became the birthday text.
And the friend who didn't do that?
Completely normal afterward. Same voice, same complaints about her own life, same everything. Whatever I showed her, she just filed it away and moved on, like it didn't change the texture of us.
I have a friend, James. We've known each other 19 years, and there was a stretch of about 2 years where we barely spoke. Life just went. And then my phone rang one day, and it was him. And he didn't say, "Sorry, I disappeared," didn't say, "How have you been?" His first sentence was, "Tell me I'm an idiot. I just bought a broken boat."
He bought a boat?
A broken boat. And I spent the next 20 minutes telling him exactly why he was an idiot. And it was the most natural conversation I'd had in months.
Because you didn't have to catch up first?
Because I already knew him. I knew the way he made decisions. I knew he would absolutely buy a broken boat. The 2 years didn't change any of that because underneath them were 19 years of actual knowing.
See, that's where we disagree.
I know.
I think some people you just recognize really fast, without the 19 years.
I'm not sure I believe that.
I know you're not.
It's a nice idea.
It happens, though. Maybe not often, but it happens.
Maybe.
You're not convinced.
I'm really not.
And I'm not going to convince you today.
Probably not. Is that your phone?
Yeah, it's her, actually.
The dinner friend?
She wants to know if I'm free next month.
What are you going to say?
I haven't figured that out yet.
That's Everyday English Talk. I'm David.
I'm Sarah. Thanks for listening.